Welcome to the Coffee and Questions podcast. I am your host, Michelle Berman-Michael, and my mission with this podcast is simple: to help realtors and loan officers across the world tap into the value Instagram can have for them and their business. To me, organic business that comes to us is the name of the game. On this show, you're going to hear from myself, other experts across social media, and also others that are just like you, selling real estate and doing loans and doing it at a high level on social media.
Today we're here with Michelle Berman-Michael. She is, among other things, Instagram guru, professional, knows it all. We're talking about all things that you might be interested in social media. Michelle, obviously, thanks for being here. Give us a quick rundown. Like when someone asks you at a dinner party, what do you do? What do you say?
I've been in the industry for a long time. I actually started in the Instagram space back in 2014, which was way before it was like cool, I think. Is a good way of saying that. You know, for me personally, I've been doing this with the intention of changing the culture of the term social media manager, changing the culture of Instagram advertising, really trying to change the language that people are using around getting help or getting education, if you will, on how to do Instagram better. Instagram has been a platform, in my opinion, that has done several things. First and foremost, it can transcend any economic anything, right? So anything that goes on in our political sphere, anything that goes on in the economy, anything that goes on with any other social media app. I think the example I talked to somebody yesterday about this, Clubhouse was huge for, I felt like, about a year and a half during the whole COVID pandemic. But is anybody talking about Clubhouse anymore? And the answer is no. But if you look at Instagram, it's survived every single thing that has occurred. So why Instagram? That first and foremost, it can survive anything. And number two, it's rooted in conversation, right? So are we having conversations? Are we creating virtual handshakes and virtual relationships? Kevin, you and I are a great example of that. I think a mutual friend of ours tagged me in a post of yours, and that's how you and I got connected. And that's the power of a virtual handshake. That's somebody else saying, hey, you need to talk to him or you need to talk to her. And Instagram is the only app that really creates that to the level that it does, because it's rooted in a person behind the voice, right? So or behind the image or the video or whatever it is. There's an actual person there, and there's a lot that you can learn about that person from their content, if done correctly, of course. But secondly, the conversations can create so much opportunity, whereas like TikTok, I know you and I talked about that offline. TikTok, the problem is we can't have direct conversations, right? LinkedIn is, in my opinion, where you go if you're looking for a job or trying to get something along those lines, kind of a little higher level, trying to connect with other industry professionals. Not so much I'm trying to go to have conversations to spur business, right? Judy Fox might yell at me for that, but that's my opinion on it. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. I think the big differentiation, like, anytime I have someone on, I always ask myself, like, why is this person special? But I think that, at the risk of sounding old and crotchety, I think a lot of quote unquote influencers in the space, they don't get that practical experience of going out and building a business and actual, like, asking people, hey, whatever you'll pay, this is what I'm going to do for you. Like, so I'm really glad that that's where you start. I think that is what makes you special. I think that's what makes you a true influencer in the sense of the world. I think that reveals a lot about not only why you're different as sort of a CEO figure and a business owner. I think also why the people that you train and the courses you offer, I think why those are different. They do come from a place of practical business knowledge. They're not just like get a bunch of followers. I think that's important. Of the things I've learned about you in a very short amount of time, that was the thing I resonated with the most. I tell my clients all the time, I tell people all the time, I'm like, you can have 10,000 followers and not make a dime and not impact anyone's world, or you can have 100 followers and 90 of them be like, I love this, and really change their landscape, So now what I'm really curious about too, now you're a little older, a little more responsibility, a little more, in tune than you were maybe when you started, rightfully so, no fault of the younger you just didn't know what you didn't know. So now as you look back, it's really like, it seems like you picked a good horse to ride. How long do you think that's sustainable as far as Instagram being the vehicle?
Yeah, so great question. And it's a really unique way of asking it. But the truth of the matter, as far as, again, being in business for 8 years, there has certainly been some shifts that have happened. As I said, getting out of the influencer space, creating an online program, that alone has also graduated it into other things. And, last week I had the opportunity to speak at an incredible conference and really talk about the culture of women in the real estate industry, and what, as a female leader, my responsibility is in this industry. And I think that was something that, first of all, I've never been asked to speak about my journey. And that was really cool. Normally it's like people want to learn about Instagram, but Bernice Ross was the lady who actually asked me to come speak. And if anybody doesn't know who Bernice Ross is, they need to. She's an absolute angel on earth. But I got to talk about my career as a whole. And to answer your question, how do we scale Instagram, and does Instagram remain the vehicle of doing so? And I absolutely believe so. And, especially because the course has evolved into other things for me. So the Instagram Power Method, we have students in 47 states. We have clients in 3 countries on the VIP client side. I have 6 employees across the country. I really have doubled down on hiring military spouses as my employees, because of the fact that they want to be able to have careers. And a lot of times, guess what? We have to move a lot. I'm married to one. I totally get it,
you understand.
There's a lot of moving involved in being, married to somebody in the military. And I think that part of my hope, it gives me the goosebumps, honestly, is that my hope is to change the way we hire virtual assistants, because I believe that instead of hiring VAs, I think we should hire military wives or military spouses and give them the opportunity to create a career that is mobile. But where I'm going with that is we've created a VIP client program where people pay us to do everything. That has now scaled, as I said, to 3 countries. I now actually just this morning was on my coaching call with my business coach. Many people might know this gentleman named Grant Wise. He's a genius, but Grant told me I've now officially stepped into the CEO role. So what does that look like, and what does that mean? That means traveling the country and telling people why Instagram is going to make it, and why Instagram is the medium that they should be doubling down on. And so are we going to make it 100 billion %? I don't think I'd be here today if it weren't for the fact that I believe that to my core. And here's what I'll say is the reason I know that is true is because I operate with no back door. And let me explain kind of what that means for people. But operating with no back door means there isn't another option, right? In the back of my mind, I don't have this, I'll just update my resume and like reach out to you, Kevin, or reach out to somebody I know and be like, hey, Instagram's kind of taking a shit. Can you hire me? Like, that's not even something that comes into my brain. I can tell you that whatever that evolution looks like, we're on the train and we're going to go with it.
I think that's reassuring. I think, you keep revealing more and more attractive qualities about your business. Right. So one, I love it's not even a give back. It's just hiring talent where talent is, like the military wives. They move around a lot. So having a mobile career is very tough I would imagine. I've never been a military wife, but I would give it a go if I could. But I imagine it'd be very tough to set up roots as a professional, and do that. So I think that's a great, that's something great you don't see in a lot of business. A lot of the folks I coach, they implement something like that in their business. Because then it means something different. So I think that's really great. I love the fact that it's not a trend. You're not a trend. I'm sure your competition, you probably have competition that's like, oh, we're talking about Instagram this week. Okay, I have an Instagram course. And then next week they have a TikTok course. And then next week it's Clubhouse. And then, so I like the fact that you've picked your horse and you're riding it because of intellectual deductions you're making. And you're saying that this is not the algorithm will change, the process will change, they'll add features, they'll take away features. All that doesn't impact the effectiveness of the platforms.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go follow my guests on social media. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please consider leaving us a review wherever you consume this content.